All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Rakha Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahawashi's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Now, this is going to be a response video to a video that was uploaded by the beloved Apostle Gabar. And in this video, he made a video called 7 Facts that people didn't know about Yahawashi. Okay. And in this video, he invited us members of Great Millstone and of course other brothers to basically tackle some of these topics, if we will. So, the Spirit's been on me lately because, I've been meditating upon this false breakdown that's been going around called the virgin birth. So today, the brother, as you see on the screen here, the beloved brother Manak Tazakba, he tackled topic number 3, as you see right there. They do not realize he is separate. He is a separate entity from the Heavenly Father, which that is true because Yahweh and Yahawashi are 2 separate entities, okay? Yahweh is the Heavenly Father, okay? He has no beginning nor end. And then you have Yahawashi, who is known as the Alpha and Omega, as you would read about in the book of Revelation. So today, I am going to be tackling topic number 4, that he had a biological earthly father. And I have a lot of precepts lined up, as well as definitions and many different examples that prove that Yahawashi did in fact have biological parents and that he was birthed into the earth by a man and a woman. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about in this video, is Yahawashi's biological father, Joseph. And the second topic I'm going to be talking about in this video is his mother, Mary, in which I'm going to prove that Mary was not some virgin who just so happened to, magically have a baby pop in her stomach and then she popped out Yahawashi. Nah. Okay, so I'm going to prove that Mary and Joseph did have sex in order to give birth to Yahawashi into the world. So let's start with Yahawashi's biological father, Joseph. Now, when you deal with lines and lineages and descendants and ancestry, you come to realize that a line or a lineage is continued through what? It is continued through men and women getting together, having sex, and having children. Okay, this is how a line continues. Now, to further expound upon this, okay, the word line, L-I-N-E, derives from the word lineage, okay? And a matter of fact, the word line appears within the word lineage, and thus a line is basically a record of your ancestors. of whom you descend from. So in this case, a descendant would be somebody who was birthed into the earth through a man and a woman having sex and giving birth to you into the world. This is a descendant. A descendant must have a mother and a father, a biological mother and a father in order to be born into the earth. So I pull up this picture here, which what you see right here is what? You see a line that is accompanied by dots. Now, the line here would represent your lineage or your tribe. The dots would represent your ancestors, okay? So I'm just going to use some examples. This first dot right here could be your legendary grandfather from the year 1600s. Okay, for an example, his name could have been Azariah. For an example, he met a woman, lovely, beautiful, comely. They got together, they got to know one another. Boom, boom, they had sex, and then they give birth to some children. Now, he might have had three daughters and one son. Now, through his son, will his line continue? Will his lineage continue? So the second dot right here would be his son. Okay? His son, whose name is Gabar. Okay, so he has a son named Gabar, and he grows up, he becomes a man, he meets a woman, same thing happens, He meets a woman of a measurable age and he have sex, boom, give birth to children, he might have 3 sons, but through his firstborn, his line continues. So the third dot would be what? His firstborn child, which would be his firstborn son. Of course, his line continues through his other sons, but through the firstborn of his son, and so forth and so forth. So you see, so this third dot right here would be Azariah's great grandchild, which would be his son's child, Gabar's child. So his son grows up, you see, because the point I'm trying to make is that a line continues through the man. Okay. And this is how you keep a line or a lineage of people going. And an example of that is when you look at the tribe of Benjamin, okay, the so-called West Indians. Now, according to the book of Judges, we know that the tribe of Benjamin nearly came to the point of extinction. So now you might ask, how is the tribe of Benjamin still here? They're still here through the Benjamites that met the daughters of Shiloh. They captured them. They popped those women and had children through them. And through those sons, the line of the tribe of Benjamin was able to continue. So your line would be your ancestry. Your ancestors who descended from their ancestors who made it possible for you to be here today through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi. And we know that ancestry, we know that a line continues through what? Through man's seed. Okay? Through man's seed. A tribe or a line continues through man's seed. Now, when you look up the word seed goes back to the Greek word sperma, which is where you get sperm from. So it is through a man who ejaculates in a woman and gives birth to children that a line continues. If the child that comes out of the woman is a boy, that boy will grow up to be a man, and he will have sex with a woman, and he will ejaculate or plant his seed, his sperma inside the woman. And this is how you continue a line of people. So let's go to Romans just real quick. Okay. And let's go to chapter 1, verse 3. Okay. So this is Romans chapter 1, verse 3. And what do we see here? It says, we'll just start at verse 1. Romans 1:1. Paul, a servant of Yahawashi, Hamashiach, called to be an apostle, separate unto the gospel of Yahweh, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the holy scriptures, concerning his son, Yahawashi Hamashiach, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh. Now, let's read that in the NLT, because what is Romans 1:3 indicating here? Yahawashi is a direct descendant of David. Now, the only way you could be a direct descendant of David is as if you was born into the earth by a descendant of David. Now, was Joseph a descendant of David? The answer is yes, because Joseph was of the tribe of Judah. How do we know that? Because when you go to the book of Hebrews, the 7th chapter, the 14th verse, it tells you that Yahawashi was of the tribe of Judah. So Joseph, who was a direct descendant of David, had sex with Mary. He put his seed, his sperm inside of Mary, which created a body for Yahawashi's spirit to be sent into the body of that baby, so Yahawashi could be birthed into the earth. So when we read here, right, Romans 1 verse 3 in the NLT, it says this: the good news is about his son, Yahawashi. In his earthly life, he was born into King David's family line. What does that mean? You cannot be born into King David's family line unless you was born by one of King David's descendants. Remember, a line continues through the seed of man, through the seed of man. In other words, when a man has sex with a woman, he ejaculates his seed, his sperm into the woman. And the babies that come out of that woman, if the baby's a child, the child will grow up. He will have sex with a woman. And then that woman will give birth to childs. No, if that child is a boy, he will grow up and have sex with a woman, and so forth and so forth. And this is how you continue a line. So how could Mary be a virgin when it tells you right here that Yahawashi comes from King David's family line? The only way for it to be possible for Yahawashi to come from King David's family line, it will have to be that one of King David's descendants had to have had sex with a woman in order to birth Yahawashi into the world. That's the only way you can come through King David's family line. You're not going to just come through somebody's family line just by magically popping up inside of the womb of a woman. It don't make any sense. And nowhere in the scriptures does it say anything about Yahawashi being grafted into a family line. No, Yahawashi is a direct descendant of David because Joseph had sex with Mary and gave birth to Yahawashi into the world. Furthermore, if we come over here, right? Now, I went to Google and I typed in, what is a descendant? And it says right here, right? A descendant I mean, he's probably not going to play. But it says here, a descendant is a person, plant, or
Descendant.
A descendant is a person, plant, or animal that is descendant from a particular ancestor. You see that? And in this case, do Yahawashi have ancestors? Yes. In the matter of fact, in the book of Matthew, the first chapter, it gives you Yahawashi's ancestry it gives you which your ancestry is what? That is your line, your lineage. That's your ancestry. So the book of Matthew, the first chapter, is going into Yahawashi's ancestry and how he came to be into the earth. Okay. Now, if you go down here to questions related to your search, right? It says, what is a descendant of a person? Right here it says, a descendant is a person born in a direct biological line. You see that? So a descendant is a person born in a direct biological line. So when we come over here, right, one of the many things that people did not know was that Yahawashi had a biological father, which means what? Yahawashi was born into the earth by Joseph and Mary having sex. Oh, but guess what? It gets even better. Let's come back over here to the Blue Letter Bible and let's type in Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. Okay. And we're just going to read it in the KJV first. And then I'm going to read it in the NLT. It gets even better. Let's see what Matthew 1 verse 1 says about Yahawashi. Matthew 1 verse 1. The book of the generation of Yahawashi, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Now, let's read this in the NLT. Matthew chapter 1 verse 1 in the NLT. This is a record of the ancestors. There goes that word ancestors, which goes into what? A lineage, a biological lineage. You could only have a biological lineage if you have a biological father and a biological mother. Okay. And a biological lineage continues through men and women having sex and their children growing up and having children and their sons, because the word child or children goes back to ban or banyum, which means son or sons. So a lineage continues through men having sex with women, raising boys up to be men, and men having sex with women, and they're raising their boys up to be men, and then their children have sex with women, well, their sons have sex with women, and and you know, that's how a line continues. That's how an ancestry begins. So this is the record of the ancestors of Yahawashi, the Messiah, a descendant of David. Ooh, let's read that again. This is a record of the ancestors of Yahawashi HaMashiach, the Messiah, a descendant of David and of Abraham. You see that? So Yahawashi is a descendant of David. And the only way you could be a descendant of David is if one of David's descendants had sex with a woman and gave birth to Yahawashi to the world. It takes a descendant of David to give birth to another descendant of David. Does that make sense? I'm going to say that again. It takes a descendant of David to give birth to another descendant of David. So was Joseph a descendant of David? The answer is yes. So this further proves that Joseph, who is a descendant of David, has sex with Mary in order to give birth to Yahawashi into the world. Okay, now if we come back over here, let's read it again. What is a descendant of a person? A descendant is a person born in a direct biological line. For an example, a person's children, grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren are their descendants. You see that? And I gave some examples earlier. This line right here, the line represents your lineage and the dots represents your ancestors who basically, had children and their children had children and their children had children, which made it possible for you to be alive today. Just like the tribe of Benjamin, in the book of Judges, who was nearly exterminated. Okay. They had children and their children had children and their children had children all the way up until now, which made it possible for the tribe of Benjamin to be here today. Okay. Okay. And then when you read Matthew chapter 1, verse 1, all the way down to, let me see, all the way down to verse 8 is going into Yahawashi's ancestry, his lineage. You see? So then, let's go back to the KJV. Okay, so when we scroll down here, right? So this is Matthew chapter 1, verse 21. Now we're going to touch on we're going to go into the topic of Mary. Okay. So this is Matthew chapter 1, verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahawashi, for he shall save his people and his people only from their sins. And scriptures make it clear that salvation is only for the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. And let's read verse 22. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the Lord by the prophet who? The prophet Isaiah. The book of Isaiah 7 and 14. Behold, a virgin shall be with child and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is Yahweh is with us. So let's touch on this topic, because you still got idiots out there who teaches that Mary was a virgin and when she gave birth to Yahawashi. No, she was not. Okay. So let's come over here, right? This is everybody's most favorite go-to scripture. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. We're going to read this in the KJV. So this is Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, right? Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Now, before I touch on this topic, right, one thing you must understand is that in the Holy Scriptures, there are two different type of virgins in the Hebrew. Now, back then, okay, the Holy Scriptures was written in the Paleo Hebrew. So in order to understand the scriptures, you have to go back to the old language. Because if you see the word virgin here, you're going to think that, this is talking about a woman who has never had sex, who somehow became pregnant. So when Isaiah wrote this particular verse, When Isaiah wrote the whole entire book, when not the whole entire book, when Isaiah wrote his whole entire book, it was originally in the Hebrew language, which means what? You have to go back to the Hebrew in order to get the understanding. So if we come over here, right, I got some bookmarks lined up here. Okay, let's see. Examples of virgins. So again, there's two different Hebrew words for virgin. And we're going to touch on this one first. We're going to touch on this topic first. Let's go to Genesis 24, verse 16. Okay. And what you're going to come to find out is that there's two Hebrew words for virgin. The first one is Bathwala, which is talking about a woman who has not been espoused to a man, who is not betrothed to a man, a woman who has not had sex with a man. So we're going to go to Genesis 24, verse 16. So, and I'm going to give you two examples of the Hebrew word for virgin with Bathwala in the Hebrew, okay? So this is Genesis 24, verse 16. This is going into Abraham's servant who went to go get Rebekah that she may be espoused to Isaac, okay? To make a long story short. So this is Genesis 24, verse 16. And the damsel, whose name was Rebekah, was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her, and she went to the well and filled her pitcher and came up, right? So let's look up this word for virgin in the Hebrew and let's see what we get here. Okay, the Hebrew word for virgin. And what do you see right there? You see the Hebrew word Bathwala. And you're going to come to find out that this is talking about an actual virgin. Okay. And what do you see right there? You see virgin. Okay. Outline of biblical usage. You see. So virgin, Bathwala. Okay. And they give you other examples down here. Okay. You know, and when you see H 1330, that's talking about the Hebrew word Bathwala, as you see up here. Lexicon Strong H 1330, Bathwala. Okay. Okay. And what do you see right here? Leviticus 21:3. And for his sister, a virgin that is nigh unto him, which have no husband, meaning she's not what? She's not espoused to any man. She's not betrothed to any man, because a woman that was betrothed to a man, she was basically preserved for that man. In other words, she was kept in her father's house and she was pretty much raised until she was mature enough, you know, or whatever, in order to finally be married off to the particular man that her father wanted her to be married off to. So that's what this kind of virgin is. This type of virgin right here, Bathwala, is talking about a woman that is not betrothed to a man. Okay. She don't have a man. She's not espoused to one. You know, she's pretty much living under her father's roof, you know, doing the duties of a maid, cleaning, washing clothes, you know, gathering water for his donkeys, his horses, camels. You know, she's probably watering the grass. You know, the things that women do. This is what that type of virgin is talking about. You know, she's never had sex with any man, and she's not espoused to any man. This is Bathwala, a woman who is not espoused to any man, neither have she had sex with any man. Bathwala, okay? So let's see. I also have this one in my notes as well. Leviticus 21 verse 14, a widow or divorced woman or profane or an harlot, these shall he not take. Okay. Why? Because these women, the widow, divorce, or a woman, well, I don't know about that part of the woman, but I know the harlot or the woman that is divorced, they have known men. Okay, they've had sex with men. So a Levite, which this is going into the law of the Levites, he was to take a virgin, a woman who was not espoused to any man, neither have she had sex with any man. This was the type of woman that a Levite was supposed to take. But he shall take a virgin, Bathwala, a woman that is not espoused to a man, neither have she had sex with any man of his own people to wife. You see, of his own people. So, I gave some examples of Bathwala, right? Now let's go back. Give me a moment here. It's on my phone, so it might take some time. Hold on a second. I can close you out. Let's come back over here. I already got the, let me see. So now, let's see. Let me see. Just one moment. Let me see. Let's see. Leviticus 21 and 14. Okay. So now, what I would like to do is, let's go back to Isaiah, okay? Let's go to Isaiah. Oops, sorry. One moment. This phone is acting up. Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. So the other Hebrew word for virgin is Ainah, and it has a totally different meaning than Bathwala. So this is Isaiah 7 verse 14, right? Therefore, Yahweh himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. So let's look up this word virgin here. Okay. And when you look up this word virgin, you see Ilama, Ilama. It's Ilama. Okay. Ilama is the other Hebrew word for virgin. And what do you see right here? You see virgin, young woman. Okay. Of marriageable age, made or newly married. So this word virgin here is different from Bathwala. Okay, this one is Strong's 5959, Ilama. So when it says a virgin shall conceive and bear a child, this is talking about a young woman that is of marriageable age, because Mary was a young woman when her and Joseph met, okay? Which in today's time, a young woman would be considered a teenager, okay? And a matter of fact, when I was a teenager, my teachers used to address me as young man, Okay. As for the females in my class, they used to address them as what? Young woman. Young woman. Okay. And at around that time, I was what? I believe I was like 14 years old. I was 14 years old when my teachers would address me by young man. And the females in my class were between the ages of 14, 15, 16. And they would address them as young woman. Okay, so this word virgin here is talking about a young woman of marriageable age. Okay, because Mary was already espoused to Joseph. Why do you think Joseph was Why do you think Joseph was meditating in his mind on putting her away privately? Because she was already espoused to him. That's why you don't see the Hebrew word Bathwala there. Because Mary was already espoused to Joseph. Okay. So this word virgin here is talking about a young woman of marriageable age. And that's exactly what Mary was. Okay. So Mary was not a virgin where a baby just popped up in her stomach. No, Mary was a young woman of marriageable age. And that's the Hebrew word there, ilama. That's why it's important to go back to the Hebrew. So let's read it again. Therefore, Yahweh himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin, meaning what? Ilama, a young woman of marriageable age, shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Okay. Conceive, right? Now, another question, right? Because a lot of people, did Mary fulfill her purification? Okay. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 21. Because there's laws on the purification, right? Which the only way the law of purification, the only way a woman can fulfill the law of purification is if she had sex with a man. I'm going to say that again. The only way a woman can fulfill the law of purification is if she had sex with a man. And then it's going to tell you that. Luke chapter 2, verse 21. And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of the child, his name was called Yahawashi, which was so named of the angel, which was, the angel, before he was conceived in the womb. And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished, they brought Yahawashi to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. So it says when the days of her, who's the her? That's Mary. When the days of Mary's purification, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem. So let's go to the book of Leviticus and let's get the law of purification. Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1. Okay. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman conceive seed. What? The only way Mary could fulfill the law of purification is if she conceived seed. So now it begs the question, who did Mary conceive this seed, sperm from, in order to give birth to Yahawashi, in order to fulfill the law of purification? Who did she conceive seed by? The answer is Joseph. Leviticus 12, verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation of her infirmity shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day, The flesh of his foreskin shall be uncovered, shall be circumcised. Now, was that fulfilled? Yes. I just read it right here in the book of Luke. Okay, the book of Luke, the 2nd chapter. Okay. So she gave birth to a man child. Yeah, and Yahawashi was circumcised the 8th day. Okay. So it is in fact evident that Mary did conceive seed. As a matter of fact, let's go to Leviticus 12. I want to read this in the NLT and then the GNT. Okay. Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1. We'll just start there. Okay. Leviticus 12:1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then shall she be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. Let's read this in the NLT. Leviticus chapter 12, verse 2 in the NLT. Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If a woman becomes pregnant and gives birth to a son, she will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days, just as she is unclean during her menstrual period. On the 8th day, the boy's foreskin must be circumcised. And a woman can only become pregnant as if she has sex with a man. Now, let's go to the GNT and read this. Bookmarks. See, GNT. I have the GNT somewhere on here. It's not, Salakia, these bookmarks are not in alphabetical order. Let me see. Oh, here it is. 1 Corinthians. Okay, so let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus 12, verse 1. And the GNT, the Good News Translation, okay? Yeah, read the full chapter. So Leviticus, and let's see if I can get verse 2 on here. And you know what? Let's go back. I have an idea. Let's do chapter 2, 12, verse 2, because 12, verse 2 is where I want to go to. So Leviticus 12, verse 2 in the Good News Translation. For the people of Israel, for the people of Israel, for 7 days after a woman gives birth to a son, she is ritually unclean. And they don't really give you much here, as she is during her monthly period. Okay, so, I mean, the point pretty much has been made either way it goes, you know. So, you know, oh yeah, and just, you know, just a little extra credit here, you know. I went to Google and I typed in what makes a child biologically related to his father. And I got an answer right here. It says to form a fetus, an egg from the mother and sperm. That's the only way you can be a direct descendant from somebody, right? Sperm, the man carries the seed, sperma. Okay. To form a fetus, an egg from the mother and sperm from the father come together. This is how Yahawashi's body was formed inside of Mary. The egg and sperm each have 1/2 of a set of chromosomes. The egg and sperm together give the baby the full set of chromosomes. So half the baby's DNA comes from the mother and half comes from the father, even though the baby's nationality is determined by the father. So Did Yahawashi have a biological father? The answer is yes. With that, I'm going to say Shalom is on to the next one.
Beings. See you again soon, Lord willing. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi. Shalom.
Shalom, beloved. Shalom is on to the next one.